Medical Intuitive Insights with your host, Dr. Gloria Warren, is a program that presents topics on medical intuition, holistic opportunities outside of mainstream society, and scientific research as applied today. Topics range from online intuitive readings to interviews unveiling alternative healing modalities and discussing them with inspirational leaders. Dr. Warren is the bridge within holistic arts while stressing the balance between the spiritual and physical self. So now, please welcome the host of Medical Intuitive Insights, Dr. Gloria Warren.
Is your food nourishing or burdening your body? And how much detox does your body put up with just to eat normally? Are ingredients feeding you or forcing your body to cope? Welcome to Sustainability Bootcamp Clean Food right here on Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm going to give you a view of what we do in these boot camps. This is only a portion of the clean food section, but you may want a pen and paper or save that video because you're going to need to watch this over and over to remember even half of it. Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Warren, Medical Intuitive Certified Epidemiologist, Integrative Educator. Today's episode is part of our Self-Sustainability Bootcamp, and our focus is clean food, not dieting, not trends, not restrictions, but something far more important. What ingredients enter your body and what your body must do with them once they arrive. Let's begin. Food as information. Food is not just calories. Food is biochemical instructions. Every ingredient you consume tells your body to build, repair, regulate, or defend. Your liver, gut, brain, immune system, and hormones all respond differently depending on what the ingredient is and whether your body recognizes it or not. The truth? The body is designed to metabolize real food, not chemical simulations of food, not lab-grown food. When an ingredient is unfamiliar or synthetic, the body doesn't say, right, nutrition. It says, what is this? And how do I protect myself? The difference matters. Positive ingredients is what the body does well. Let's start with supportive, biologically familiar ingredients. The common teaching say that when you consume whole vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds, clean proteins, natural fats, that is what we always hear. But is it supportive? Is it biologically familiar ingredients? In today's world, it's hard to say, so you got to check those ingredients. The body, it breaks them down into amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. It absorbs them through the gut lining and uses them for cellular repair, hormone production, neurotransmitters, and energy. These foods reduce inflammatory load and allow the body to shift into healing mode. This is self-sustainability at a cellular level. Do I agree with these statements? Not completely, because recently research has proven that a natural sugar, fructose, the sugar found in fruit, could lead to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. It actually is saying that it's the major cause of those situations. Those references are at the end of this program, so please feel free. Go down, look at them, it's there. Now let's talk about the other side. Negative ingredients when the body must cope. Highly processed foods often contain artificial flavors, artificial colors, preservatives, emulsifiers, synthetic sweeteners. These ingredients are not nutrients. They're foreign chemical compounds. The body must identify them, neutralize them, bind them, and eliminate them. This work falls heavily on the liver, the gut microbiome, the kidneys, and the nervous system. What are you trying to do? Healing pauses and coping begins. So now I'm going to go back. We're going to discuss a few things that we just talked about. Now this show is not going to give you all the information. It's going to give you a taste of what we learn in our boot camp. And this is just one portion of that taste that you're going to get today. So don't go away. You got to stay right there, obviously. So let's look here. The common ingredients, the healthy, wholesome ingredients are going to help sustain you. Fruits, nuts, and seeds, though, that's in question. We're going to discuss that in the next 2 sections of the show. It's a separate category. Clean proteins. Well, are there clean proteins? Well, last I heard, all the cattle they're getting and all the livestock, they get inoculations. What are in those inoculations? Which inoculations are they giving you? What is the new inoculation? These are things for you to research. We do go into that further in the boot camp. Whole vegetables, great. Make sure to cook your vegetables all the way. Raw vegetables, you cannot absorb the nutrients. You'll be lucky to absorb 10% of those nutrients. When you cook it, you'll absorb more of it. You'll get those vitamins as well as, you'll get the water and everything else in those cells. The cells are not meant for human bodies to break down when it's raw vegetables. So we have teeth for a reason. We have molars for a reason. Just like the cattle, they have molars, the cows, and they grind and grind and grind. They grind and grind. We don't. We put it in our mouth, throw it in our mouth, chew it up, and swallow it. Is it enough? No. So if it's cooked, you're not losing the nutrients. You are not losing the nutrients. Remember that. You are not losing the nutrients by cooking it. I get a lot of people that come to me and they're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not, and they're telling me about their diet and they're like, yeah, I'm on a raw food diet, or I like my vegetables only like 1/3 cooked. Well, you're going to cook Brussels sprouts. Make sure they're cooked. Your body's not going to be able to absorb those nutrients at all. So now we talked about reducing inflammatory load, neurotransmitters, hormone production. The foods reduce inflammatory loads and allow the body to shift into a healing mode. So the problem is it may break them down into amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals. How are they being cooked? How is it breaking them down? Good question. That's something that we get into as well. We teach you how to do it. It absorbs them through the gut lining. Well, not always. That doesn't really make too much sense. Not much is absorbed through the gut lining, maybe in the intestines, and maybe they mean gut. It's so wishy-washy. You're just not exactly sure what they're talking about. So with the gut, I'm assuming they probably mean not just the stomach, they mean all the intestines and everything else. Well, a lot of your food is not absorbed in the gut. Some of it's actually like alcohol is absorbed, they found through research. Females absorb alcohol through the stomach, and that's why a woman can, when they drink, they actually could feel the alcohol sooner than if a man drinks, because his stomach lining is different than a female woman's stomach lining. Research has proven this all the way back, I think in the 90s, they proved this. And everyone's like, oh, that's why I get drunk faster than my husband. Well, I'm sorry. There may be many other reasons too, but that's okay. That's for them to figure out. So, sorry, I'm doing that a lot. Let's look at this. Works heavily on the liver, the gut microbiome, kidneys, and the nervous system. So what works better? What falls heavily? Let's say that. Body must identify, neutralize, and bind the artificial things like the colors, the preservatives, emulsifiers, flavors, synthetic sweeteners, and eliminate them. The liver is our filter of our bloodstream. A lot of the chemicals end up in the liver as well as the brain. Now, it can disrupt the gut microbiome and all of the bacteria in there, the healthy bacteria. And yes, there is a difference between healthy bacteria and bad bacteria. But 99% of the bacteria in your gut is healthy bacteria on a normal, healthy person. Okay, so that's without any intestinal situations or disturbances. And then you have the kidneys, some of the artificial colors and flavors, just like with medications people receive. Some of those medications actually hinder the function of the kidneys. Some of them hinder the function of the liver. And it's usually an either or, but it can do things to other internal organs as well as the brain. But anyways, the kidneys are involved and the nervous system. So sometimes if people eat an artificial color, like let's just throw it out there, food dye red, number red, 40. You know, some people actually get they can get a nervous shakes. It makes them feel a little, itchy, so to speak. Artificial flavors, same thing. Preservatives, so many different preservatives. Do you even know what those preservatives are? We go into all the different preservatives. We actually go through a list of the most common preservatives. There's at least 20 on that list. This is all in packages for you so that you can take it home after the program. It's a 10-part series program. Only one part is about food. We also have other sections about home environment. We had a little teaser out there a few weeks ago on that one. But then we have, outside of home environment and food, we have water, we have survival skills. Yes, because this is a boot camp, we are going to do one on survival. And that means survival during drastic situations, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it is anything going on politically, whether it's anything, within the situation of society. When things get tough, let's say you got to bug in or you got to bug out. When do you know the difference? Are you ready? Are you ready for the things to bug in with? Are you ready for the things to bug out with? It's expansive. I teach you certain survival skills in that one too. That's a great one. I love that one. That's my favorite. I live for this stuff. This is what I do. And that's why I learned medicine and things of that nature, and as well as outdoor survival. So whole fruits, whole vegetables, nuts, seeds, clean proteins. That's going to be another topic as we move on. Again, we're going to dive more deeply into that. But remember, if an ingredient in any of the foods you have in your cabinet, look in your cabinets, any of the foods in your cabinets, if they are synthetic or unfamiliar, then hey, wait, something's not right with this. The body doesn't say great nutrition, So how do you protect yourself against everything in the supermarket? What do you shop for? Let's get down to the root. Maybe you can't change it in society, but maybe you can change what's in your own cabinet. And remember, the foods that sell the most, they stock more often. So we actually do have an impact on what is sold in that supermarket. So you're going to stock up differently. You're going to look at your ingredients and you're going to have the list to figure out what is it I can eat? What it is that natural? My body's saying this, what should I eat today and tomorrow? Or maybe my body feels great. What should I eat today? It's not saying you have to purposely leave out all those ingredients. It's not saying that. You can cheat. You can have cheat days and whatever, that's fine. But you can find natural products that don't have that problem as much. So, some of the statements I agree with, some of them I don't, that is put out there in the public's view. Negative ingredients, they are there. So I'm going to stop here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You're listening to Medical Intuitive Insights with Dr. Gloria Warren. When we return, we look closely at artificial ingredients. Remember I said we'd come back to that. Biological consequences and hidden ingredients, ones that you may not even notice, including artificial flavors and what happens when they cross biological barriers in the body. What actually happens to that when it gets into your bloodstream? Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorick, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to our Self-Sustainability Bootcamp, food. So let's discuss artificial ingredients and biological consequences, specifically flavors and additives that are engineered to mimic real food. Of course, there's other things that are artificial as well, but let's get into this first. One example, often discussed in scientific literature, is the use of artificial butter flavoring compounds, such as doxacetyl-related compounds in some processed foods. These compounds, they're designed for taste, not health. Some artificial flavoring agents are small enough to cross biological membranes, and they are lymphophilic, meaning they bind to fats and are capable of interacting with other compounds present in the body. From a medical standpoint, certain compounds can cross the blood-brain barrier. I know in the news you're hearing a lot about that. So it can happen, though, especially when the barrier is already compromised by inflammation. Remember the difference of swelling and inflammation? I had it one of my other shows. Swelling means things swell. Inflammation means there's a pathogen or chemical or something making it happen. You can get swelling, you hit your arm, it swells. Inflammation, after the swells for a long time, bacteria develops, and then it's inflammation. Or you can have chemicals doing it too. So if it's already compromised by inflammation, it can cross that blood-brain barrier more quickly. Why does this matter? What crosses into the brain doesn't travel alone. It can interact with other substances and be present in circulation. The body does not treat these ingredients as food. It treats them as chemical exposure. The liver attempts detoxification. The gut microbiome may be disrupted, and the nervous system becomes involved. From an intuitive perspective, these ingredients often register as neurological irritation, mental fog, appetite confusion. I'm hungry. I feel hungry. I just ate like a half hour. Why do I feel hungry? Cravings, disconnected from true hunger. Boy, that really sounds good. I want to have that, That's what they're talking about with that. Let me go back. I'm going to backtrack a bit. I want to talk a minute about doxacetyl again. And it's found, it actually hibernates in fats. What is your brain made up of? Yeah. So some artificial flavoring agents like doxacetyl, small enough to cross biological membranes, and they're stored in fat, meaning they bind to the fats and are capable of interacting with other compounds present in the body. So if something's hijacked onto the doxacetyl and it gets in your brain, what's one of the main problems there that's happening in society today? A lot of neoplasms in the brain. That's why it matters. What crosses in the brain doesn't travel alone. It can interact with other substances and be present in the circulation. I'll say that again and again. The body does not treat these chemicals as food. It treats them as chemical exposure. You're going to hear that again and again from me because that is the truth. The liver attempts detoxification, gut microbiome, and from an intuitive perspective, neurological irritation, mental fog. If you have any of these symptoms, you got to start thinking, what am I eating? Cravings that are uncalled for, appetite confusion. I mean, what does the body do next? When exposure is chronic, detox pathways become overworked. Inflammation increases. It doesn't decrease, it increases because it's another irritant, it's a chemical. And repair mechanisms slow down. Why do they slow? Because when things inflame or swell, it pushes pressure onto the vascular system. And guess what? There's less circulation going in that area. So all the repair mechanisms slow down. It doesn't mean that one exposure equals disease. Like, oh my God, I ate it. I'm going to have a brain tumor vitamin tonight. That doesn't mean that. But it does mean long-term burden changes biological behavior. Remember, self-sustainability means taking charge of your own food intake to reduce unnecessary burden. Let's review. Hidden ingredients and gut response. The ingredients that are often marketed as safe or diet-friendly. Well, first of all, how much of it is safe? A regular portion? Or are you one of those people that eat more than others of certain things that have these chemicals in it? See, they can't really say, but they do. They try. Artificial sweeteners such as aspartame, sucralose, and others, these compounds do not provide nutrition. Done. It's a chemical. They alter gut bacteria and they can confuse insulin signaling. So the body may experience increased cravings, blood sugar dysregulation, and appetite signaling disruption. The research studies have shown, check the references at the end of this in the script, they have shown that when you eat these types of chemical sugars, your body and brain think, oh, I got sugar. No, guess what? It's not then getting the sugar it needs, so it re-triggers at a higher level, making you even more hungry than you were before. So it's like a whole dominoes effect. From an intuitive lens, the ingredients often feel disorienting to the nervous system. Emulsifiers and preservatives. Do you know what that is? Emulsifiers help foods stay mixed. Kind of like it can add air to it and whip it up. A lot of our creams and things are emulsified. And preservatives, they extend the shelf life, yes. And I sometimes joke, yeah, but I need more preservatives at my age. But you know what? Nobody needs food preservatives like that. But in the gut, they can thin the protective mucus layer, increase intestinal permeability, disrupt microbial balance. When the gut barrier is stressed, systemic inflammation increases. Do you have stomach problems? Let's talk about that again. This is not about fear, it's about awareness. So what do we do about it? Sustainable food choices. Food sustainability is not about never eating a processed item again. It's about ratio and recognition, learning what you can eat, cannot eat, and you can have some of the other things too. Here are the guiding principles. Number 1, choose ingredients your body recognizes most of the time. Reduce chemical complexity. Chemical complexity is, if you're seeing the whole list of chemicals, then you know, hey, this is not a simple food. I'm not going to eat it. Reduce those. You may still want to have your different pastries or whatever. That's fine here and there, but not on a normal basis. Support gut integrity by really knowing what you're eating. Honor how your body feels after eating, not just by taste. When your body's supported, inflammation decreases, detox pathways recover. It's wonderful when it does. And energy stabilizes and healing resumes. From a medical intuitive perspective, food that nourishes brings a sense of grounding clarity, not heaviness, agitation, or brain fog. From an epidemiologist perspective, let's take control over what we eat and what we consume. Remember, the more of the good foods we buy, the less of the bad foods they're going to sell. So they're going to stock, the stores will stock more up on the good foods. You got to keep these things in mind, folks. So honor your body and honor how it feels after eating. You know, some people do that by eating in gratitude, praying over food, blessing it, doing something of that nature, or just giving your body 5 minutes after you eat just to sit, maybe a quick meditation, even if it's 2 minutes, because then your body will have a better chance of taking care of those things, digesting those things, absorbing the nutrients, and feeling the energy afterward. Unless, of course, you overeat, right? Okay, so there's so much in this mini session. We're going to look at food recognition next, case studies, self-sustainability practices. You know, food recognition is really important. We're going to get really deep down into that. Ingredient recognition. How do you know what these ingredients are that you're reading? Because it's like a foreign language that you don't know. Just face it. We live in a Google world. Isn't that great? So we can look things up right when you're on your phone or near your computer. You will get lists in the boot camp though. And then you can take that list, you can download that list, put it in your phone, take it to the store with you, and hey, it's right there, right at your fingertips. So we'll get more into that when we return. Food recognition, case studies, and self-sustainability practices. We'll be right back.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back. Now we're going to discuss ingredient recognition. Just remember, food is not just energy, it is instruction. And this is your action plan right here on Self-Sustainability Bootcamp, Medical Intuitive Insights. Consider taking the rest of the courses. Just a flash of what the one session is. It's a 10-session course, plus you get a free session once it's paid for. After eating, do you feel nourished or burdened? Let's look at that. Biologically recognized ingredients, then chemically manufactured ingredients. These are the two categories we're going to look at. First, review the ingredient labels from 3 foods you eat weekly. Ones that you're eating quite often, in other words. Circle the ingredients you recognize. Underline the ingredients you don't recognize. I can imagine that's going to be a lot more than you expected. All right, case study on polyethylene glycol. This is something that's been popping up in all of our foods all of a sudden over the last few years. Polyethylene glycol. Also, PEG is the short acronym they use. Plus, guess what? There's like 6 other names that don't even sound like it that they use. So in this session, in the actual boot camp, you get a list of those names, those alternative names, so you can review your food more in depth. So what is it doing in our food? Well, the FDA actually says it's a stabilizer and moisture retention. It's used in a lot of different things to stabilize it and moisture retention. It also keeps food at a certain temperature zone, per se. So I know it's not specifically like what some people talk to me about. Oh, I don't want to eat anything to do with antifreeze. Well, yes, it is in that category. And glycol is a type of alcohol. And it is something that crosses the blood-brain barrier. And it is something that I personally don't feel healthy about. I cannot eat it, actually. I get severe reactions. But if you go to the store, it is in about at least 50, if not 70% of your food. Why is it there before? Why is it they're having problems now that they've used to use this? I do know it's cheaper. They use it even in wine and alcohol to make it ferment much faster, so they can bottle it faster, so they can get it out there faster, so they can make money faster. So this is something you want to ask the company of that makes your wines or any of the liquor that you drink. So keep it in mind. Biologically, it is not food. It's not a nutrient, and it requires your body to work harder to eliminate it. And because it's an alcohol, it could be doing damage in other places. And that's my call to action to research. We need to do more research on that, see how it's affecting the liver. So what happens when the body spends more time detoxing than repairing? Well, when it comes to the gut, brain, and barrier systems, key symptoms affected: gut lining, liver detox pathways, blood-brain barrier. So ask yourself, which foods leave me clear-headed and energized? Which leave me foggy or fatigued? Do I get a headache after I eat it? That's a strong question. Those all are. So next, case study, lectins in your diet. Dr. Gundry, he's great. He's got so many different videos out there. Everyone should watch him. Good ideas, very good ideas, good research. But what do lectins do to the GI tract? Lectins are found in many foods. They're carbohydrate-binding proteins, naturally found in many plants, especially in seeds, grains. You heard me, grains. Like, the grains you make bread out of and things of that nature. Legumes, so your beans, your peas, and things of that nature. And some other vegetables that you wouldn't consider it. Maybe potatoes, tomatoes, I know those two. Maybe corn, I think I heard corn on that one. Their effects depend on type, amount that you eat, how you prepare the foods, and remember that word because we're going to go into that, and individual sensitivity. They bind to the gut lining. Yeah, lectins have a unique ability to bind to sugars on the surface of intestinal cells. So if they're binding to sugars on the surface of intestinal cells, question, are they hindering nutritional uptake into your body? I'll just leave that one out there. In the GI tract, this can interfere with normal cell function, disrupt nutrient absorption, irritate the intestinal lining in sensitive individuals. When binding in excess or chronically, the gut may shift from digestion to defense mode. So what's meaning by defense mode? Well, your body reacts. Some people, they get bloated, their gut will get bloated, and other things will happen. Let's look into that here. Increasing intestinal permeability in susceptible people especially. Certain lectins can loosen tight junctions between intestinal cells. So that would tell me the elasticity would be decreasing. I wouldn't want that. It can contribute to increased intestinal permeability. And this is one of those words we've heard many times over. often called leaky gut syndrome. Yep, lectins, good old lectins. This allows partially digested food particles or microbial byproducts to pass into circulation. Microbial byproducts. So microbial, so like bacteria and things, and byproducts, micro-sized byproducts, maybe chemicals perhaps, something to think about, into the circulation. Well, what would that do if that does happen? It could trigger immune activation. You know, if you have an overreactive body and your face swells or your gut swells or something happens right away, maybe you get diarrhea or your stomach hurts, increase inflammation. So remember, inflammation is different than swelling. You see that connection there? It can contribute to food sensitivities. So when your body swells, your body can go into a fight or flight scenario. And that is, it will become overreactive. Your pH level of your blood would most likely drop. And that causes sensitivities to everything. You know, I've seen people with asthma that it's caused from low pH level. I've seen people that have trouble digesting their food caused from low pH levels. So it's something to consider. There may or may not be a correlation there. It all depends on the patient themselves and what they've experienced and what can be figured out. You know, blood tests always do help in that case. Even a pH test strip, testing your saliva first thing in the morning helps. But this effect is not universal. It's more like in people with existing gut inflammation, autoimmune conditions. Well, wait a minute, autoimmune conditions. So a lot of times, I know as an epidemiologist, a lot of times those are caused from low pH levels. So, oh God. Chronic stress is also more likely in people with chronic stress or dysbiosis, which is better described as a microbiome disruption. You know, how many people are told, oh, you really need probiotics and prebiotics? Well, you know, if you're really stressed and you need prebiotics and probiotics, I believe that means that you're more susceptible to these other problems lectins can make happen. Lectins may also interfere with nutrient absorption. I think we touched base on that already. They combined minerals like iron, calcium, zinc, and magnesium. But my doctor says I need more iron. Well, maybe you need to check your lectin, you know, what intake you're taking in with all that you're eating. Can also reduce absorption of other nutrients as well, not just minerals, iron, calcium, zinc, magnesium. So over time, this can contribute to nutrient deficiencies, fatigue, poor tissue repair. Oh, that's interesting. This is especially relevant when diets have relatively poorly prepared lectin-rich foods. You know, remember I said we're going to get into preparation? We'll get into that in a little bit. Activating the immune system, because lectins are biologically active proteins. They are biologically active proteins. Yes, I did say that twice. The immune system may interpret them as threats in the GI tract. This can actually increase inflammatory signaling, activated gut-associated lymphoid tissue, better known as GALT, contribute to bloating, discomfort, or irregular bowel movement habits. Yep, over and over again. Some lectins could disrupt the gut microbiome. Let's look at that. Inhibit beneficial bacteria. Favor less desirable microbial species. So then they would actually get to be more and more and more. Well, the good bacteria is getting less and less and less from lectins. However, this is highly dependent on food preparation methods, overall diet diversity, individual microbiome composition. So, you think you got a lot out of that? This is a very small amount you would get. in the boot camp, you would get a heck of a lot more. So how many of you actually have leaky gut syndrome or diverticulitis even? You know, if you have diverticulitis, you are actually prone to having these other symptoms, the immune activation, increased inflammation, maybe further food sensitivities as well, bloating, gastrointestinal situations. You know, you may have gotten the leaky gut syndrome or from something else. Maybe a lot of people ate popcorn before in the day, and I know that's one thing that eating too much popcorn can actually cause. Can also interfere with normal cell function, though. And that is a problem because they're not talking about just the research projects. They're not talking about just in my thumb, okay? They're talking about normal cell function in my whole body, in the whole body. So, yeah, like I said, not just brain fog. Maybe you're suffering from fatigue every day. You just can't shake it. You have 2 cups of coffee. It doesn't wake you up. You rehydrate, you energize, you're taking vitamin B complex. And, is that enough? Maybe not. Maybe you need to look at your lectins. So this is something that you've really got to consider, looking at what's in your cabinet. That's what I would want to do too. If you when you come to this, it's all done online. And when you come to there, you can show me different things and we can go through some of those ingredients, different foods you eat. I'll probably tell you right away, oh yeah, that has this in it. Oh yeah, that has that in it. I've been doing this my whole life. And these are things that my mother's caregiver actually is the one that said, you need to do one on food. You know so much about food. Well, no, this is what I do. So this is what I do with my patients too. So this is very important. We need to do this for ourselves. Remember, self-sustainability. It's a boot camp because I'm going to throw so much at you so quickly. It's going to be 2-hour sessions for each show. And this is just the tip off of the iceberg, of course. So don't forget your polyethylene glycol. By the way, check your ice cream. Check your ice cream. Yeah. Because, why would they be putting that in ice cream? So something's not right with that. I don't know. I'm not going to say any more about that topic. So the polyethylene glycol, I can't have it. My body super reacts. You want to know if something will react with you? Well, just give it to me. And if anybody does, it'll be me. I react to everything. And maybe that's one reason why I know this. But I want to try to help other people prevent themselves from having problems. By the way, fruits, vegetables, I always eat most of mine from Mexico, less chemicals. And I don't seem to get a reaction from them either. They're spraying things on fruits and vegetables. I lean towards Mexico, or if it's from Texas, it seems to be fairly safe. Florida, sometimes, not all the foods are. Keep it in mind. Okay, you are watching Medical Intuitive Insights with Dr. Gloria Warren. When we return for our final segment, we will focus on how to prepare foods that contain lectins. Can we actually make them safe? I mean, after all, that's a lot of food with lectins. Think about it. Tomatoes, potatoes, maybe even corn. I mean, some of the things I won't eat anyways because they've got chemicals all over them. But if it's something you want to eat and you can make it so the lectins are inert, that'd be great. So we'll be right back.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life.
Welcome back. This is Medical Intuitive Insights, and we're going to discuss now why preparation of your foods matter. Lectins are dramatically reduced. Yes, reduced by soaking them, the vegetables or whatever has the lectins in it that you want to eat, sprouting them. So simple to sprout foods. Very easy. I even sprout my rice after rinsing it a few times for my chickens. They love it. Fermenting, another way, and sauerkraut, kimchi, fermenting foods, phenomenal, reduces the lectins. And pressure cooking. So if you want to do it in a hurry, go ahead and pressure cook them. Blast them in the pressure cooker. The lectins decrease dramatically. Traditional food cultures used these methods instinctively long before modern science. And that's why, when properly paired, many lectins containing foods are well tolerated. So let me say that again. Many lectin containing foods, there we go, are well tolerated. And some even provide health benefits, especially without the lectins in them, right? Key takeaway for that, it's very balanced. Lectins are not inherently bad, but in excess or in vulnerable guts, they can shift digestion, nourishment, and make it irritation. They don't poison the gut, but in sensitive systems, they can irritate it, weaken barriers, and force body into immune defense instead of digestion. So where glycol is more something that you should not be ingesting, many countries have banned it actually. Lectins, you're not supposed to digest them in a regular way that people eat it. But if you do these things and you ferment them, you soak them, you sprout them, pressure cook them. I like that pressure cooking. It can be easy, fast, simple. And I definitely ferment them, especially like for sauerkraut and kimchi. Love it. So self-sustainability means matching foods to the body's current capacity, preparing foods in ways the gut recognizes, reducing unnecessary digestive stress. Sustainable food practices prioritize ingredient simplicity, reduce chemical complexity, support gut integrity, observe body feedback. Remember we went into that? How do you feel? Do you have brain fog, upset stomach maybe even? Something to consider. What did I just eat? What did I just pour down my throat? Let me see. Now, I'll give you an action point. So over this next week, I want you to go choose one ingredient in your cabinet, one food perhaps. Do not eliminate everything, but take that one food and eliminate it from your cabinet. Don't buy it again. If it has glycol or filled with preservatives or artificial colors, don't buy it. Don't. It's not worth it. You have one body. What are you going to do when you don't have that body anymore? You won't be around here, that's for sure. So it's been a joy. As we close today, remember this. Your body is always doing its best, but it was never meant to spend its life detoxing food. Self-sustainability begins when food supports biology. Ingredients reduce burden, not expands the burden. Eating becomes cooperation. That's part of self-sustainability and not conflict. So you're going to eat for the peace of your gut, for the peace of mind. My body, you got to say this to yourself. My body is intelligent. When I choose food wisely, healing becomes possible. It's one of the best things you can say to yourself. My body is intelligent. It's not stupid. It knows. Probably knows a lot more than we do. Then when I choose food wisely, healing becomes possible. When I choose food wisely, healing becomes possible. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Dr. Gloria Warren. This has been Medical Intuitive Insights. Next, in our Self-Sustainability Bootcamp, we'll continue building step by step toward a body that is supported, not strained. Some of those bootcamp shows, one is actually even about survival. So keep it in mind. If you are adventurous and would like to be on this show, please text me 715-892-7500. Just put show in text and I will contact you. Usually, a medical intuitive reading is quite a lot of money. But if I do it on the show, it's free. And I also talk to you after and help guide you several times thereof. The next Life Connect retreat is in February. The topic is healthy body, food, water, environment, and spirit. So you get a taste of this there too. So if you want to join us, it'll be in Mexico in February. I think it'll be mid-February is what we scheduled it out to be. So if you want to go, text me, put in LCR for Life Connect Retreat. Until then, eat consciously, live sustainably, heal deeply, and remember Proverbs 3 verses 7 to 8. Shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Eat clean, whole foods. There for the grace of God go I. God bless. Till next time.
This has been Medical Intuitive Insights with host Dr. Gloria Warren. Tune in each week as Gloria shares over 40 years of experience and yearns to provide knowledge derived from intuition and research. Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern.